Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, December 21, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. And so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that we have that cold front right there, stretching all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the Leeward Islands, including Puerto Rico, and it is right there to the south of the Dominican Republic. It has also induced a trough to the south of Haiti and to the southeast of Jamaica, all the way down into portions of Panama and Colombia. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that cold front, reaching all the way down into portions of Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and we can also see the clouds associated with the trough that it has induced, stretching all the way down into portions of Central America. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean's weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. So it was stated that this very same cold front would continue to bring more cool temperatures, windy weather, and even some wet weather, all courtesy of that relief rainfall, to sections of northern Jamaica throughout the day on Thursday. And northern Jamaica, for your information, we're talking about those parishes such as Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, and what ended up happening. We saw that as early as midnight last night, a little after midnight, 12:40 a.m. We had the Cuban Doppler radar images showing some amount of rainfall as indicated by those greens, even some yellows embedded in there that represent light to moderate and even some heavy rainfall to sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. Then later on, at 8:11 a.m. when the sun came up, we saw that we still had a lot of clouds coming in from the northeast. All of those low level winds, those prevailing winds, contributing to that buildup of clouds, that relief rainfall to sections of especially northeastern Jamaica. So definitely sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland got in on that kind of weather. Then we saw that even in the afternoon hours at 2:46 p.m., the visible satellite image was showing clouds starting to spill into sections of some southern parishes. So it was still plaguing northern parishes, but we started to see some of that affect sections of the south. So sections of Manchester, St. Elizabeth, St. Catherine, even sections of Kingston and St. Andrew, not to mention sections of St. Thomas, got in on some amount of isolated shower activity during the afternoon. Sometimes these things can happen, and we're indeed grateful for that. We even had Dale, the 1876, hitting breezy and cool in Kingston 19, Flat Kingston 19, not Hill Kingston 19. Near stating cool and windy in Spanish Town. Even on our Instagram page, we had some commenters confirming their weather. Roxy J76 stating light rain, windy and cold in Trelawney. Sapphire Willie March 29N stating light rain in Mobay and cloudy. So that indeed confirms the rainfall that we got today. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see that even before the sun went down, we still had a lot of clouds coming into sections of northern Jamaica, spilling into sections of some southern parishes. See that flow from the northeast? And as it relates to what the infrared satellite images were showing, just some low level clouds as we can see by those grays. No high level clouds, no cumulonimbus clouds, no thunderstorm clouds, as we don't see any blues, greens, yellows, oranges, or reds that represent that. The Doppler radar images aren't showing much at this time. We do see some spots of greens right there on the north coast that represent rainfall, but that's just about it. On another note, another post was made on our Twitter page. By the way, keep in mind that these posts aren't only made on our Twitter page, but our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok page. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there. So we highlighted the fact that today, Thursday, December 21, was actually, well, is actually the first day of winter. It's actually the shortest day of the year, And we know that winter marks the transition from autumn to spring. We know that the days are the shortest, temperatures are the coolest. And as we can see on the satellite images earlier, most of the rainfall occurs in the on the north coast of Jamaica, while the south coast is mostly dry. And we all know that we experience these seasons because of the tilt that the earth has while it's spinning on its axis around the sun. Alright, so let's just take a look at the temperatures right now. We can see we have 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 3 a.m. on Friday, we should have temperatures dipping down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. We still have those average to slightly below average temperatures plaguing the island for 18th on Friday. When we calculate that, that's 1 p.m. on Friday. And this map is from the GFS showing this forecast. You can see by the key on the right, the grays represent average, the blues represent below average, and that's what's being forecasted. So December, we know that we usually receive up to 87 degrees Fahrenheit for the average temperatures across Jamaica, and that's about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So we should continue to receive anywhere from 28 to 30 degrees Celsius at most. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can still see that the Atlantic basin is being dominated by a lot of dry air. We can see the yellows, oranges, and reds by the key at the bottom that represent the dry air, and Jamaica is still embedded in a lot of dry air as we speak. However, as it relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Friday, we do see that majority of the main development region will be plagued by Saharan dust. We can see those darker shades of browns as well that represent some vigorous plumes, some of which is starting to affect sections of northeastern South America. So definitely sections of French Guyana, Suriname, maybe heading into sections of Guyana later on. You can also see a not so vigorous plume across sections of the eastern Caribbean as indicated by those lighter shades of brown. So they won't even notice the hazy skies, they won't even have those asthma or respiratory illnesses being triggered. What could trigger it, however, is if this darker shade of brown makes it westward into the Caribbean. And hopefully that's not what happens later on in the weekend or next week. Taking a look at the wave forecast, we can see the island is being surrounded by blues, and we can see by the key on the bottom right that the blues are representative of anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights, and that's because the winds seem to be coming in more so from the east northeast for tomorrow, and then we can see the blues represent the least amount of wind. And we know what usually happens wherever we have the least amount of wind. We have all of that air piling up during the afternoon hours, and then that leads to some amount of clouds building up, and then bring about some amount of isolated showers as soon as they get heavy enough. And with the upper level winds coming in from the northwest for tomorrow, is definitely going to be favoring some of that afternoon rainfall across sections of some southern parishes. So maybe sections of St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth could get in on some of that. Even sections of Westmoreland as well, as we experience that east northeasterly flow across the island. So definitely the clouds gonna be coming in off the sea across the north coast, so we can rule out some morning rainfall as usual for sections of the north, so Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, St. James, maybe Trelawney as well. So as usual, morning rainfall for the north, and then some possible afternoon showers for sections of the south. And as stated, the upper level winds are going to be coming in from the northwest, so that's definitely going to be favoring more of that overcast skies and that push of that rainfall across the south coast. As it relates to the rainfall forecast, we see the consensus, we see the confirmation with what we just spoke about. This is valid for 8 a.m. on Friday. What do we see? We see some blues that represent rainfall across the north coast on the Euro model. So definitely sections of Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, maybe sections of Eastern St. Thomas. The GFS, something similar but not as robust as what we just saw on the Euro model. We do see the blues that represent rainfall, however, across the very same spots. Then look at the afternoon hours now. Very interesting. Blues that represent rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica, especially on the south coast, is what we're seeing, especially on the GFS Mall, I see those darker shades of blues on the south coast, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Thomas. Then this is valid for 4 p.m. on Friday. So this is going to be interesting to see exactly what unfolds. Either way, both the Euro and the GFS malls are in consensus that there's going to be some amount of rainfall tomorrow. Euro model is a bit more robust with the rainfall totals as we can see by those reds. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing the actual rainfall totals from now up until 10 p.m. on Friday. Not saying that it's going to be raining all the way up until then, but within the next 24 hours, these are the spots that are going to be picking up the most rainfall. So definitely a section of the eastern section of the island up to 1.13 of 1.13 inches of rainfall across the east for the Euro. GFS not so much, only up to 0.61 of an inch of rainfall. Either way, rainfall is in the forecast for Jamaica for tomorrow. Not everywhere, only some spots. And we're indeed grateful that we're going to be getting another rainfall. We're in the month of December. We're in the first month of our dry season. We'll take all the rainfall that we can get before we head into February and March, which are our peak months of our dry season. And then we're going to be, crying for more rainfall. And we know how the National Water Commission can get with their water restrictions. So let us be thankful that it is raining in December. And so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can still see those pockets of clouds coming into sections of the Bahamas, eastern Florida, sections of Cuba, northern Hispaniola, Haiti, Dominican Republic. We can also see that rainfall that was plaguing sections of Barbados today, now heading into sections of Martinique, sections of St. Vincent got some of the action, not to mention sections of Suriname, French Guiana, and Guyana. Look at southern Venezuela getting in a lot of thunderstorm activity as we speak. Sections of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, Guatemala getting in some amount of overcast skies and isolated showers today, even right now. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images right now, we do see that northern Puerto Rico is definitely being plagued by a lot of rainfall right now. You can see those greens, those yellows, those oranges that represent some amount of light to moderate or even heavy rainfall right there, especially to the east of Arecibo. So definitely a section of East Load, Palmas, Altas, getting on some very heavy rainfall as we speak. Not so much across the capital of Puerto Rico, San Juan, right now, but we can see the rainfall out to sea and east and west of there. As it relates to the other Caribbean islands of the Leeward Islands, not so much taking place right now. But if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we do see that rainfall that we just saw on the satellite images. So definitely, there's definitely some more rainfall in store, some more rainfall to come. You can see some of that rainfall coming in from the south and east. All of that east of Tobago and Trinidad right now, east of Barbados as well. If we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that rainfall right there across sections of the waters to the east of Belize, to the east of Nicaragua as well. As it relates to the temperature forecast, we can see that 18th on Friday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Friday, still has more so average to below average temperatures across the northern Caribbean, say anywhere from Puerto Rico westward, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, sections of Honduras, Belize, Nicaragua, Guatemala, not so much Nicaragua, but Guatemala, sections of Mexico, Cuba, the Bahamas, southeastern sections of the United States, including Florida and Georgia, while above normal temperatures will still be plaguing sections of the eastern Caribbean as represented by those yellows, golds, and oranges, not to mention sections of Nicaragua southward. As relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Friday, we do see that lighter shade of brown plaguing sections of the eastern Caribbean, but the heaviest or the most vigorous plume of dust is right there out to sea across the main development region as represented by those darker shades of browns. And we hope it stays out there for the rest of the weekend. As relates to the wave forecast, we can see that majority of the Caribbean should be getting in on those blues that represent 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights. Just the northeastern sections of the Dominican Republic, the northern section of Puerto Rico, the northern sections of the northern Leeward Islands should be getting in on those purples that represent up 2 meter wave heights. Also, to the north of Colombia, right there, those 2 meter wave heights are more going to be plaguing those waters. And that's because the winds are going to be strongest wherever we have those higher wave heights. You can see the yellows that represent up to 25 knot winds, and for the most part, majority of the Caribbean should be getting the winds coming in from the east or east northeast for tomorrow, averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 knots. As it relates to the rainfall forecast, we're looking for consensus. What do both maps show in terms of the rainfall? We're seeing that rainfall across eastern Cuba, some isolated showers for sections of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, sections of Hispaniola, northeastern Jamaica, sections of Puerto Rico. We also see that rainfall in store for sections of the Windward Islands, sections of Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, sections of Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, definitely sections of Venezuela, coastal areas of Venezuela, and especially southern Venezuela, Colombia, Costa Rica, Panama, coastal areas of Nicaragua, coastal areas of Honduras, definitely sections of Belize are going to be getting in on more rainfall. And we know that when both maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing something similar like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.